Wow, 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 wow. Did I wow, 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 wow,
And good
wow?
evening out there, internet.
Good evening.
How are we doing today?
I am doing mighty fine, but how are you, kind sir?
Oh, oh, it's about the usual.
The usual good or usual bad? That's there's always an in between too, so it's not just
Oh,
one
it's,
one
I
size fits
swear,
all.
it's. Here's another one. Like, really? You do this every year? You can't remember the process. All right, whatever. I have crew who are handling that. I don't need to stress.
You got peoples. Let the peoples handle it.
I got peoples, and I'm gonna get more peoples because we're getting
Yes.
into that whole hiring thing and bringing in people, and man, it's always stressful.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful right now because my crew, my team has worked for years not having a lot of extra help, right?
Yep.
And this year we're changing and evolving and all of that, and we're gonna start moving to a model where we have more people,
That's always good.
right? More people on the front line to take that trench warfare that is the season.
That's what should be, those tiers in tech support.
Yeah, so it's just, but it's the nerve-wracking side because it hasn't been done really, and it's taking the experience from doing this for 10 years
Yeah.
and applying that experience in ways like, okay, and then looking at other companies that do this and trying to find, okay, this is where I want to see it in a couple of years. And it's like, I can see in a couple of years, this is where
Vision.
we'll be doing it.
Have the vision. That's
It's
always good.
getting from point A to point B. It's this, okay. And thankfully my team is getting on there. I feel I've done a fairly decent job explaining my vision and living my vision that I want to have for this, and it's like, all right, I get my first person in a couple of weeks.
Yes,
And
sir.
I already have plans and knowing what I'm gonna want that person to do to the team, to really get us ready, because it's an old military thing, and a lot of people get to attest to this. If you're a prior military especially, is like, and you do training, so you could totally probably see this too.
Yep.
How you train is how you perform. In the military, it was you train like you fight. If you're expected to do X, Y, and Z when things hit the fan and it's go time, you need to train as if it's go time.
Got to be ready.
You can't shortchange your training and expect stellar performance when it's that time. And that goes with a lot of other things. So it's that trying to get that training point. So it's, my team is really knowledgeable and really knows what they're doing. And I acknowledge that and I praise it.
Yeah.
But I'm retraining them to think in a different way because now we're going to have this new environment.
Oh yeah.
And it's probably some of the first time I've really used a lot of the leadership training and whatnot from my time in college, which is like 10 plus years removed at this point.
A few minutes ago.
A few minutes.
Yeah.
And trying to get in that, and it's that, am I doing a good job? Am I not doing a good job? It's the trying to check back on that. Which is funny because I walked into work today, right? And the director of one of the departments, he's sitting there and we were talking and I was kind of going, I was like, this is what I want. This is these kinds of things. And he's like, oh, so you're gonna be like Musk and whatnot, because right now we're talking about all the things going on with Twitter, and Musk has
Tweet
his purchase of Twitter. And it was an article I was reading yesterday where it was saying that a lot of the staff were working 12-hour days, 84-hour weeks. Management has been staying in the main offices because they're trying to go with all these changes that Musk's team is asking them to do. And
Yeah, they're asking for a lot of changes for sure.
and all that, and it was like, so we're bantering on that, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do the thing where I change my Twitter handle to Chief Complaint Officer, or some of the stuff going on, because I think Musk had his like chief tweeter, and he just changed his handle to Chief Complaint Officer, because there's a lot of nervousness around Twitter right now, and
Yeah.
with the changes and this vision that Musk has for what he wants Twitter to be and what he wants to kind of do with that. But it's that leadership visions and executing and whatnot. So yeah.
You set set a foundation, have points you want to make, and hopefully it turns out into something grand. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, and I've told a few people, I will go with the way my intuition is telling me to go until someone tells me to back off.
Oh yeah, you just want to make sure you stick to your guns, you do what works, and if it works, you just kind of improve on it little by little, and
Yeah, and I'm trying to sell my vision to others, and I mean, it's some of the old, like the John Maxwell leadership books and a bunch of others, where it's like true leaders have a vision and can get people to help them execute them.
Yeah.
So it's
find them right people.
Yep, finding them people is the thing. But anyway, so it is
Wednesday
night.
Yes, sir.
Wednesday, we got daylight savings time coming up this weekend.
Yep. So I was reminded.
Daylight saving times will already happen. So remember, it's fall. Set your clocks ahead an hour or back an hour.
Yep. Fall back.
Spring forward.
Yeah.
Also, next week's voting day.
Yep.
So it's
lots of things coming down the pipeline.
Oh yeah, next week's going to be absolutely bonkers.
Isn't Veterans Day next week too?
Yep.
It's the 12th, right? Am I correct? I think
11th.
11th. Okay.
Veterans Day is the 11th, but it's also, and that's in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's also called Remembrance Day in Canada.
Yeah.
Basically, November 11th is the one day that a large majority of the Allied countries all have set aside as a holiday.
Yes.
Now, I say that, does that clue you in on to what November 11th is?
I feel like it has something to do with World War II.
Close.
Yeah.
World War One.
World War One. Okay.
It was originally Armistice Day. November 11th was the end of World War One, where they signed the treaty in Paris in the trolley car. And so the world kind of acknowledged that as a holiday. Over the years in the U.S., it's changed into a fully fledged holiday on the 11th. For me, it's like the 11th is cool. I have a friend whose birthday is on the 11th.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm more excited about November 10th than I am. I'm respectful of November 11th, but I'm excited about November 10th. And that is because that is the Marine Corps birthday.
Yep.
So,
hoorah. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I got it. Hopefully I got it right. Didn't want to get
right. You got it right.
Didn't want to get the stabbies over here. So.
Oh no. No sword.
Run me out the house.
The sword's in the closet.
Yeah.
The K-bar's in the closet.
No. It's like,
But
don't do it.
Marine Corps birthday next week. So all kinds of fun.
All right, that does sound like fun. I do know. So you're gonna see a lot of posts of military stuff, which is grand and great to see.
Oh yeah, it's good to be respectful.
Always good to be respectful.
Yeah. All right, so what about you, Ry? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is a tired mind, because busy with work and busy with school. The weekend was just action packed with trying to get through this take home midterm and all the readings I got to do, but got it done. And also I do trivia at a place over in Virginia Beach. They do every other weekend like special trivia, so it was horror themed. So we did that, and then that's pretty much it. A lot of my time taken up with the schoolworks, so not much else going on right now. This weekend though is going to be interesting. Lots of fun things coming on.
Oh really? What's happening this weekend?
Well, there's a party. on Saturday. Saturday's my mom's birthday as well.
Oh, wow.
And then I heard that some cousins from Australia are coming to visit over the weekend. So got to make time with that on top of all the schoolwork I got to do. So, yeah, fun times ahead. And it's the Day of the Dead festival at our local brewery farmhouse. So I'll try to sneak out there because that's the day when they release my favorite drink, the Azul cider. So got to go.
Some of that up.
Yeah,
And
got to
that's
get
this weekend.
Yep. But you know, I got other things going on, so might not be able to sneak out to it. It's on Saturday.
Oh, you might have to just outsource a farmhouse run. You'd have to find somebody who'd be willing to go over there and pick it up.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you got a long Rolodex of people who could do that, who might live close.
Oh yeah. If not, I could pick up the drink during the week sometime. Just sneak out there and get the case and bring it back home, kind of deal.
Yep. That's an option too.
Yep. But I definitely like the Day of Dead festival, so I'll try to sneak out there if I can. But you know, I'm busy. So
Oh, yeah.
Got to do what I got to do.
I mean, it's all good. So yeah, quick shout out to sirenscape.com for soundboards and background musics. We're listening to the Scuba Studio sound set that I put together based on their published sound sets, which just shows you they have a wide variety of things to pick from: Western, sci-fi, cyberpunk, fantasy. It's all there. And they have a great online player. We're actually utilizing that and playing through. So a lot of cool things with that. Go check them out. Sirenscape.com for more information and to be a subscriber.
Sirenscape. Check
Yep.
them out.
Alrighty. So what do we got on the docket today?
We got
a review and some news articles. It'll be a light day today.
a light day, mostly just chilling.
We'll see how light it gets.
Yeah, we'll see. We see the vibrato and everything.
Yeah, well.
We move with the rhythm.
Well, let's get to it. Let's go ahead and hit that review up.
Yeah. Irony. What we'll be talking about is sticking needles after getting a needle stuck in my arm by a nurse. The review that we're going to be about is The Good Nurse. Or is
Good
it?
Nurse. Now, this is on Netflix, right?
Yep, a Netflix original.
Okay, tell us about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it. You told me about it way too late with as busy as my week's been going.
Oh yeah, I know, but that's just because my weekend was packed. I didn't think I'd get in a movie, but somehow, some way, I did.
Well, that's
and yep, The Good Nurse is a Netflix original and is adapted from a book and also based on true events. So what it focuses on is on two characters, Amy Logren, played by Jessica Chastain, and she is a single mother. A working nurse, and she's also struggling with a certain heart problem. And through her troubles, she goes and befriends a new nurse that starts working at her hospital by the name of Charlie Cullen, played by Eddie Redmayne. So what happens in this film is basically unnecessary deaths start happening at this hospital. And what this leads to is a criminal investigation that parallels with their friendship. And what you come to find out is that there might be some sinister motives behind Cullen's working habits. Because what you find out is that Cullen's been going from hospital to hospital working. And does he have ties to this murdering streak that's happening? Why is the hospital covering up certain things? So at the heart of this film is the relationship between Amy and Charlie. And what makes this film great, what raises it above the procedural kind of stuff with the criminal investigation and the mystery on what, why, and how, it's their relationship and their the characters between them. Because you have this woman that is struggling, and then you have this guy who at first seems like he is honest and precious and is really there for her, but he also has this other side that she doesn't really know. And then as this mystery starts to unravel, she starts to learn the truth of the character and who is the person behind Charlie. And paralleling that procedural stuff, which is very basic and cookie cutter, what lifts this film past that is the levity of the characters and just the honest dread that you see between the relationship and the fractures of both them as a human and as what they have to uncover and what they have to challenge each other in the truth that happens in these deaths. So yeah, so it's a typical procedural drama, but what makes the film great are the characters and the acting between Chastain and Redmayne.
Okay.
So
when you started to say that about the guy who's like he's passing from place to place,
yeah,
at some reason my mind flashed to The Good Son.
yeah.
So it's almost because that old horror film
Yeah.
from long ago with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. I believe that's who it is.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, way back in the 90s. It's kind of, it almost seemed like a good thing there. Where it's got a thriller
Yeah.
vibe to it.
Yeah, this is not much of a thriller or much of a
Okay.
horror. It's a drama, but it's a procedural drama. So you have that crime element, that crime procedural, and then you have the dramatic element with these two characters. And you just find out that he's been a nurse at different hospitals, and then he leaves. But you know, certain deaths happen at these hospitals, but what is the connection between him and those deaths? Because there's nothing really, there's no paper trail between it, but for some reason he's the one equation equal thing in that puts the equation together. Why is he always at these hospitals when these deaths happen to the patients? So, and that's what the criminal stuff comes. It's very basic, but it doesn't take away from their acting because it's just the layers and depths and that little peeling of themselves and seeing a reflection in each other because they're both broken, but how and why.
Okay.
So
So what do you call this?
overall, it was a fun little character film. If you like criminal procedural dramas or character films or these actors, I say check it out. It's on Netflix. It's an original, but 3.5 out of 5. I would have liked to seen it at the theaters if I could.
Nice.
Yep. So I definitely would check it out if you like that procedural drama stuff. It's a little slow, but it is on purpose, and that purposeful slow burn does pay off in the end.
Don't mind the buttons. We're having a bit of technical difficulties. Blah, 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 blah.
We are broken, but we aren't gone, people. We're
No, it's
here
only
for
gonna
you.
apply to the video. It's not going to apply to the audio version.
No, sir. But we're here, and
We
we're
are
clear,
here.
and we're ready to cheer. Yeah!
So I didn't get the chance to say this. Was thinking about it. Is like one of the things I was watching over the weekend is I was catching up and binging through the legacies from the Vampire Diaries universe of shows.
What streaming platform is that on?
Netflix.
Okay.
You can find Vampire Diaries, the originals, and Legacies, which was the third show in the franchise. And it only went for 4 seasons and then was canceled. And that was the end of the Vampire Diaries whole universe. But
What you think about it?
I started watching it, then I dropped off watching it for
Okay.
some reason. And then I went and I wanted to see a particular moment. And I finally got to see that moment at the end. And it was as I was going through this, and it was like I felt like the writers were getting tired.
That usually happens in long-running series.
No, this is a long-running franchise. I
Yeah.
mean, Vampire Diaries ran for 7 seasons. The originals ran for 5.
Yeah.
And for a while it was running parallel to Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
And then we introduced a couple of the key one or two of the key characters that's in Legacies at the final season of the originals.
Yeah.
As well as a little bit in Vampire Diaries. But watching through and getting to the later seasons, it's like, yeah, there's this arc for a couple of characters, but it felt like a couple of you got to the point you were following 2 or 3 different storylines.
Okay.
Right? I mean, very very much like a Game of Thrones or something like that, where you have multiple storylines.
Mm-hmm.
You have this ensemble cast of characters, and at some point it's okay, these 3 characters are doing this thing, these 2 characters are doing this thing, and then this other group of characters is doing another thing, and then you have a couple people who left the show and they went off in a different way. But it kind of felt like there was a point where we started to see kind of the same format of an episode
Okay.
multiple times. There's some set dressing differences and things like that. But one of the things, and it felt like the writers were getting tired because they introduced an element called the therapy box.
Okay.
All right, and this is where great idea. Was the idea was that it would pull your conscious, you would connect to it magically with your subconscious, and you would go through kind of this scenario where you have to kind of resolve whatever issue you're dealing with subconsciously. Great concept in my mind, right? Because it allows you to really open up and do new things, right? You're not, because like that's where you get when they do these, they get into like period type shows. Like the first one was a film noir mystery
Okay.
where the cast is in different roles. You know, y'all have seen this before. I mean, Star Trek Voyager did it a lot.
Okay.
Because of the whole holodeck thing and whatnot, but
All right.
it's same kind of concept, right?
Okay.
But after they first introduced it, it became like a regular set piece for shows.
Okay.
Like it was like this is that gateway to do an episode where you recast the characters in different roles. I mean, you like it's like these characters are these characters, but in these scenarios, they're different characters. So, yeah, there was the film noir one, there was a western one, there was a couple of different things where it's just like it felt like you were running out of ideas, and this was kind of it. And to me, it just felt like the writing got tired.
Yeah, and that does happen from time to time, especially if it's spinning its wheels. Even if you try new things, it's not really new, and you're just like substituting one palette for another.
Yeah. And then the other thing I did is I watched 2 anime movies, the last Naruto movie and the one right before that. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like and all 3 of these are because I was sitting there, I'm watching through Instagram, and sometimes they have little clips from shows, and it's like you see this clip from a show, and it's a show you liked, or the characters you like, even if you're out of date on the show, but it kind of guys like, I want to see what story this clip is from to get the full context of the clip. And so that's kind of what led me down that rabbit hole. But the anime movies weren't bad. I definitely solid 3 out of 5 on both of those. They're set toward the tail end of Naruto Shippuden.
I've seen the last one, the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, the last Naruto movie, that one wasn't bad because that's taking place right before the wedding that ends the Shippuden thing and starts to set up for Baruto. Because one of the things I noticed watching that last arc of Shippuden is like you went from them finishing the war and everybody has their happy ending and whatnot, and you know, and then it's like it seems like we skip forward and now it's all leading up to the wedding of Naruto and Hinata.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, because you kind of got a feeling the two of them were getting closer, but it seemed like there was a chunk we skipped, and this movie kind of fills in that chunk rather well.
Oh yeah, it provides that explanation, even though you know there were hints there already, but it just gives that explanation a little bit better.
So it's wasn't bad. I mean, not a whole lot to write home about, but you know, it's still something kind of fun to check out.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're a fan of the series, you will definitely enjoy them.
Alrighty, yep. All right, so we'll cover that. So we got some news pieces next.
Oh yeah, a few.
We got a couple of them here.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, 3.
Which one do you want to start with?
We can do the quick hitters, or at least the first one is a quick hitter.
Okay, GTA Vice City 20 years. Is this like so this is a re-release of Grand Theft Auto Vice City?
No, it's just celebrating that 20 years ago. This marks the 20th anniversary of the original game being released.
Oh, this is the original GTA.
Yeah, so no, GTA Vice City. So it was released on October 29th, 2002, which has been 20 years to the date. So it's just a article that goes in on how the Vice City, you know, introduced a lot of different things. GTA 3 brought that open world to fruition in 3D, but Vice City kind of pushed the needle a little bit further because of the dynamics they introduced in there, including the voice casts.
Yeah, I gotta say, GTA is one of those franchises that I started off when I heard about it. I was like, do I really want to play a game where I'm stealing cars and beating people up?
Yeah.
And it felt like it was one of to me, it felt like it was one of those things is like, what kind of message is this sending? I mean, I understand video games allow you to live vicariously as other people, but with all the hostility from some groups over video games rotting your brain and violent, all this extreme violence because they play video games, it didn't feel like a great idea. And then we get into GTA 5, which is notorious at this point, legendary, I would say at this point. And it was like, I remember working that holiday season at GameStop as a side gig and having to tell parents who had these kids, and these kids are like, I want to get GTA 5. And it's like, you realize this game requires you to be 18 to buy it, right? Oh, so I got my mom here. And it's like kind of like, I was like, ma'am, do you know what your son is wanting to get? Yeah, it's just some video game. I mean, it's like, yeah, this game is pretty raunchy because, it's Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And it's that, just forewarning you. And then, of course, seeing that this is the game that, gave us Red Dead Redemption and some of that, or this open world kind of concept, which Rocksteady really nails, that open world, free traversing and kind of thing.
Rockstar.
Yeah, Rockstar, not Rockstar.
Rocksteady does do the open world Batman game, so you're still good on that.
I'm partially there, but yeah, it's just, to me, it's just like, it's like one of those things. Like, I personally couldn't get behind playing it, but seeing the writing, seeing the story and the world, and seeing that whole thing with the open world stuff, and it's like there's a real powerhouse of creativity behind it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe the franchise is only 20 years old.
Yeah, well, specifically Vice City is 20 years old. The franchise is a lot older.
Oh, really? What was so there was a couple of games. I want to say this was what, a PlayStation 2?
Yeah, it came out on PS2 and eventually on Xbox, the original Xbox. But so it's just the October 29th marks the 20th birthday for Vice City specifically.
Okay.
Not the franchise as a whole. But yeah, I just wanted to, because it's one of the games in the franchise that kind of pushed that needle, because of, like you said, the nature of the narration, the story, the characters, the vibrancy of Vice City, because it was the first one to actually go and focus on an era. This takes place in like the 80s era. So it's rebuilding that South Beach, Miami Beach kind of thing from that time. So, and it's also the voice casting, because it's one of the ones where, they got a big name movie actor, Ray Liotta, to voice a character in a video game, and that was unheard of at that time. So, yeah. And then,
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that.
Yeah.
Just looking at how now, and it's like you have these predominant actors, or in some cases, the voice actors are more influential than the Hollywood actor.
Oh, yeah. So it's just highlighting the fact that it has been 20 years since Vice City, and like I said, the franchise started way before that. So that's another like 10 years that's before that. But it's just Vice City being particular. It's just wishing it a birthday for a very great game that pushed the needle of the open world a little bit further, with introducing indoor interactions, flying, boats, and other character dynamics in the game.
Well, speaking of open worlds, our next story is talking about The Witcher, specifically the TV series.
Yep.
As you may or may not be aware, it was announced recently that Chris Helmsworth will be taking over the role of Geralt.
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth, his brother.
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So it was Chris. Liam Hemsworth,
Yep.
Chris's little brother, is going to be taking over the role of Geralt in season 4 of The Witcher, because Henry Cavill is exiting the show, which has the internet in all kinds of chaos.
Yeah, it's like I've never seen a barnstorm in a while of a said actor or actress leaving a role that they're known for, and then being replaced, and then just
especially
people
when they're
losing
passionate about the source material. Because Henry Cavill, I mean, he's a geek's geek, man.
Yeah, he is a geek.
would love to hang out with this guy
He
and talk Warhammer and Witcher and all the other geek things.
he makes dedicated time in his busy work to play them games.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love. It was an interview where it's like, are you an Xbox or PlayStation guy? He just kind of looks at him and goes, PC.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
you know?
and I remember that that he was doing videos during the lockdown of him building PCs. Am I correct?
Yeah, he did. It was a real famous one. He did a PC build. It was right
Yeah.
about the same time me and Saladin built our new PCs. But it's and then the one interview where he's like, yeah, there's two sides to the Warhammer hobby. There's the miniatures, collecting and painting, and then there's the wargaming side of it with the armies on the table. It's like, and it's like, yeah, this guy sounds like he'd be really fun to hang out with. Plus, he's a real down to earth, chill dude from what some of the stuff is saying, which is cool. I'd love to. You can only take that stuff so far without actually, here's the opportunity to hang out and have a conversation.
He's definitely a down to earth guy and will do things. If you remember, there was a story we ran a while back in our odds and ends. Check out our catalog on Spotify. But where he went and his nephew, he went to the school with his nephew because his nephew said his uncle was the Superman. So his mom called his uncle and he showed up to school with his little nephew, showing that yes, his uncle is Superman. So that just says how cool he is. But
the interesting thing is there's not a lot of explanation as to why Henry Cavill left.
Yeah.
At least nothing's been published as of yet.
Speculation and a lot of rumors, but
I mean, I don't want to subscribe too much to the rumor wheel, but if it sounds like it sounds like the reason. I would venture to say it sounds like the reason he's leaving is create a difference with the writers.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Another coincidence which could be popping up is because everybody knows he's coming back into the role of Superman, the Man of Steel. But the interesting about this topic, like you mentioned earlier, is just the firestorm on the internet.
Oh yeah.
And how people, yes, Henry Cavill is a great actor. He does some other roles like Man from U.N.C.L.E. He was in the Mission Impossible, a Fallout film. He did a few other ones, but the thing is just how important is the role to a person than over, moving the story beyond, and can somebody else act in it? Because it looks like the Firestorm, you're not even giving Liam Hemsworth even a chance yet, because it's not even this next season, it's the 4th season. So it's after the 3rd season. So it's just seeing like, can that idolization blind people from actually appreciating what may be somebody that does good in the role.
It's interesting. It's a lot like the Joker conversation. Every time they
announce the Joker effect,
a new actor who's going to play Joker, it's everybody loses their mind over it, and until you actually
he's not my Joker,
Yeah, I mean, but I want to give the actor a chance, but I really wonder. I really love to hear. Okay, if you were so passionate about this project and so into it, to leave 3 seasons in out of 7, for the 7-season plan, it's like, okay. And then the other thing, is how is his departure going to affect whether or not they can get to 7?
Yeah, because this is another thing. Since he has this big fan base and a lot of people are already up in uproar, some people even creating petitions, to stop production after season 3. How is that going to affect the bottom line for Netflix and the investment? And if people aren't watching, subs aren't coming in. There's that moolah that can affect that too. Yeah. But at the same time, like you said, you got to give the guy a chance, whoever is coming into the role, because, the story is a story, no matter if it carries on. Look at a Doctor Who. How many people have they had as Doctor Who? A lot. And they still keep going on.
Well, that actually has another little firestorm of its own.
Yep. So because there goes another fandom.
Came back as the Doctor.
Yeah.
And we have to wait until next year when they do the 60th year anniversary of Doctor Who to find out what's going on with that, because they already announced who's going to be the next Doctor. Yet on the series, on the finale, where Jodie's character Jodie's run as the Doctor was done, and then she regenerated into David Tennant.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've had a legit regen of a previous Doctor, which it was hinted at in the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
When Todd Barker,
I don't remember his name.
begins with a T. It's like he played the museum curator, and all of us in the fandom know it's like, yeah, that was the fourth Doctor. That was the dude. And he's like, you might revisit some old faces. And Matt Smith's like, okay, are you sure? And it's like this back and forth, which I thought was really great. But now we have this, and it's like everybody's like, well, what is going on?
Yeah, and it's just that thing, like, not one person, even though, somebody, if they think of a person, Iron Man, you know who you're going to think of. Wolverine, you know who you're going to think of. It's like, you got to give the story a chance. Another franchise where they're always replacing is the James Bond franchise. And that never really affects the bottom line. And they make more and more money as they keep going.
And you know what? The interesting thing is when you look at the shifts between the different actors who've played Bond.
Yeah.
You can also see a real shift in filmmaking.
That is true.
I mean, I would argue for any film student or film connoisseurs, like, look at the way they did filming, special effects, practical effects, all of that. You can see in the evolution of Bond from one actor to the next, the style of filming changes, the types of special effects change, the locations.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see how in like the early, and I'm just because this was a subconscious thing, and now that we're mentioning it's coming up, it's like when you look at the earlier ones like Dr. No, Goldfinger, and all that, everything, and Spy Who Loved Me, and all that, you had this very stylized kind of, I mean, it's the 60s, that's the vibe for TV in the 60s, where
certain
it's like,
style,
certain social what's accepted on screen versus reality kind of stuff. You could see those lines.
Yeah.
And then you move through all the way through the Roger Moore era, and then into Pierce, which is the 80s types of things. There's the color palette shifts a little bit. Of course, obviously you go from the 60s to the 80s. So there's definitely a stretch in the clothing style. But then when you get into the Pierce Brosnan age, you now have you could see the filming is capturing more detail, and it's capturing more detail in the set pieces and the environment. And then you get into Daniel Craig, where it's like high quality video capture, really feel, and it feels grittier.
Yeah. There's a grit to it, and it always reflects that era, like you mentioned. You have the 60 Bonds is different from the 80s Bonds, it's different from the 2000 Bonds. So, everything's reflective of the aesthetic, but that evolution is that, it's going to have an actor replacement, whether it is because of, it's time to move on, or, there's other circumstances. It's like, the evolution of the character keeps going.
Yeah.
So we got to see what happens. It doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it doesn't mean it's going to be bad.
No.
So, you got to give it a chance. And it's just an interesting thing to highlight. It's just because of that firestorm, and just the fact that, people idolize somebody in a role so much. It's like they can't accept even a chance or give a chance to a new breed.
I remember all that stuff about Nathan Fillion playing Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. I mean, I personally, I still believe his style of character really, it just screams Hal Jordan.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of which, there's that new one, the new Green Lantern show that's coming on HBO or whatever, that's going to focus on Jon Stewart. That should be interesting.
Yep. They're retooling it, so I'm curious to see how they bring Jon Stewart to life. So.
Yeah, that'll be good. Alrighty. So next one we have Oh,
Yeah,
best pick predictions for the
yeah,
Oscars.
so we're moving into November, so it's kind of like the wheelhouse. This is when, it's been knee deep in most of movies, and I review movies from end to end. So going into November, you start to see or start to get a highlight of what people think might be, the best pictures coming up near the end of the
Now
year.
this is the time of year where all the real serious
Yep,
films that the powers that be feel that these are award worthy contenders.
yep. So
And
these are,
because we're out of the summer blockbuster season and we're moving into the winter season, which is the holiday films and
yep,
these serious
yep,
contenders for the
yep.
various Oscar prizes. So
So
it's Oscar season,
yeah,
right?
it's Oscar season, but it takes into consideration all the films that came in prior. But this is when it starts to bubble up because, like, we watched right off of before we started. I showed you, and you pointed out on that one trailer how you saw the film festivals.
Mm-hmm.
So this list is just I brought up two websites, and I brought up the two websites just to give two separate visions. But you can see that there's a few films that populate across on both lists. So, like the one that I was showing the trailer for, the Banshees of in Sharon is showing up as one of the ones. A film that we're looking forward to is popping up and actually getting a lot of buzz through the film circuit is Glass Onion, a Knives Out story. So that's popping up on a lot of
Okay.
Best Picture lists. Another surprising one, but not really surprising that it happens when you have a big blockbuster, is Top Gun Maverick. It's getting some nods, but we saw what it did over the summer.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, another one that seems to be translating across. If you've seen it, you can understand it. Is The Woman King? It is this era's Braveheart, so you can kind of see how it's getting that push and
I
whatnot.
I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see that
Yeah,
one. Viola Davis is a
is
powerhouse
superb.
actor.
And if you watch that film, like I when I described our review, check out our podcast before. And like just her chameleon, she's a chameleon. She can go from being a jazz singer in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom to being a warrior of a clan in The Woman King. It's
Oh,
just
and let's not forget my personal favorite role she does, and that is Amanda Waller
oh
in
yeah.
DCEU. I
Yeah,
mean,
she's it's
she's
like
one. She came out of nowhere
oh
on
yeah.
that role, and it's like, yeah, I'm quite intimidated by
Oh
her.
yeah, and just naming some of the ones that are populating across the. Another one which came out earlier this year, which people are still buzzing about, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is that a multiversal kind of film with Michelle Yeoh.
Hmm.
So it's such a creative and colorful film, so it's still getting the buzz. And some that are coming up that haven't been released yet, The Fablemans, which is Spielberg's next film. It's kind of like a semi-autobiography of his life, but from what people are saying, it's another hit. It is Spielberg. What do you
I mean,
expect?
it's Spielberg.
Yep.
I mean,
Babylon, from Damien Chazelle. If you recognize his name, he did his previous films he's done is Whiplash and La La Land. So he's doing another take. It's another take on like early style Hollywood, and
yeah.
the awards people love it when you talk about films. And some other big wigs that are coming is Avatar, just because James Cameron, and he looks like he's pushing the film industry again to the next level with this film. So
I mean, that's what James Cameron
yep.
does. He doesn't have a lot of films, but guarantee you, you take each one of his films, he pushes the envelope that everybody repeats afterwards.
Yep. So those are the top tier contenders. Everything
I'd like
else,
to see where the whale falls in.
yeah. The whale is getting recognition, but more so for Brendan Fraser. So that might be one of
Oh
those
yeah,
films
I mean, Brendan
where, yeah,
Fraser has been one of those. He was a '90s, early 2000s action guy,
yeah,
and then he dropped off the radar,
yeah,
and he's come back. I mean, he came back for Doom Patrol,
yep,
and now he's got this role and this role, the buzz on this role when we were talking about it. So I'd actually really want to. I can't wait to get the opportunity to check this film out,
yeah.
and then just the fact that he's getting so much recognition and getting back into Hollywood after this character.
Yeah, yeah. So, yep, and that is one that is, coming up. Another one which also dropped on Netflix that's getting kind of buzz around the way is the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front, which I'm going to try to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, those are some big ones, and I picked out those because those are the ones that are like the ones that are mostly popping up on a lot of lists.
Uh huh.
So check them out if you can. So
Alrighty, so I guess that leaves us with our odds and ends.
Odds and endies.
Alrighty, we got some odds and ends here, which it's just to reiterate, if you're not familiar with this is where Rye finds these random stories on the internet and puts them together, and we kind of talk about them and just kind of give our reactions. Try to include all the links into the show notes and description
Yep.
below.
Yep.
If you're watching this on video, if you're listening to this on audio, again, should be in the show notes.
Yep. Just quick
more
hitters,
often than
but
not, but-
always interesting.
So.
So.
All right, so first thing we got is Pokemon pizza.
Yes. So this is a article from comicbook.com. So, there's always, restaurants, fast food joints, whatever. They like to do themed things. And around Halloween, a lot of people like to do things. We mentioned one about Chipotle a couple weeks ago. So this one, it's Domino's, and what they're doing for a limited time is teaming up with the Pokemon company to make special pizzas, but you can only get it for a limited time. So
This looks cool. This is like a half Alfredo, half pepperoni with like sausage or beef in the center to make it look like a Pokeball.
yeah,
That is pretty cool. I like that.
so for a limited time, you can get this pizza from Domino's, and if you're a fan of Pokemon, you'll get this Pokemon pizza, and like you said, it is in the shape of a Pokeball.
Domino. I'm gonna have to see if I can catch that if it's still going on.
Yeah, it's a holiday
Oh.
themed, so it's only for a limited time.
Yeah. Well, you also have to be in South Korea to get it.
Okay. Well, there's always overnight shipping.
I mean, I'm all about my pizza, but I think that's going a little far, don't you think? That's like, being the nerdy guy who sits there and orders Krispy Kreme when you're in Prague.
Yeah, it is, but it's good worth noting, and it's an interesting, cool way of doing pizza, I think.
Can you catch that movie reference I made? Leave your comments below.
Yes, sir. Moving on at a fast pace, ironically, is the next article. Well, we back in the day when some of us played racing games, maybe the NASCAR games, and we don't really know how to drive. Sometimes we would use the environment to get us to pass the other racers. So what happened is this is an article from Kotaku, and basically in the last race at Martinsville, I think it was this previous weekend, one of the racers who goes by the name of Ross Chastain decided, hey, how can I get and move up into a better position in the race? Well, what he did, he slingshotted against the wall on the final lap, and it got him up to 5th place.
Yeah,
So he went
the
from-
article is titled "NASCAR Driver Pulls Some Video Game."
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks,
So
GameCube. An interview after.
yeah, so he goes from 10th to 5th place in just a few seconds, and in his interview, he thanked, like you said, the GameCube and playing NASCAR 2005 as a kid, and he decided, hey, if it worked in the game, let's see if it can work in real life. And sure enough, he jumped 5 spots in the race
And damaged the hell out of that car. You see this clip, and you see him just scraping that sidewall. It's like, man, that pit crew had to be
Yeah.
not too.
So in the post interview, quoted from the article in Kotaku, he said, "You could get away with it in the game, and I never knew if it could actually work. I mean, I did that when I was 8 years old, so why not? If it works as a kid, it might work as an adult." And sure enough, it worked. So kudos to you, Chastain, and using video games to your advantage. That's all I can say about that.
True. That's right on brand for us.
Yeah.
This next one seems kind of fun too. This
Article.
This article is from Gizmodo.
Yep.
Which, if it's Gizmodo, we're already talking tech.
Yeah, gadgets and whatnot, but a different kind of gadget. What
Yeah,
kind of
this one
gadget,
is,
Scoob?
This one's a pair of shoe add-ons
Yeah.
that promises to increase your walking speed by 250%. Why? Because from what it looks like is, as you walk, it's motorized skates that are pushing you forward as you walk. So it's kind of like thinking those airport terminals where you have the escalator track that moves you in. That's what this was kind of looking like.
Yeah, so as reporting Gizmodo, the strap-on designs allows, quote, the Moonwalkers to be used in almost any pair of shoes, and each unit features 300-watt electric motor that powers a set of 8 polyurethane wheels similar to what you'd find on a pair of inline skates. So,
Team of robotics engineers who spun off to work at Carnegie Mellon University into a new company called Shift Robotics. These are called the Moonwalkers.
Yeah.
Might look like roller skates, but they add power and intelligence to experience. So you'll never feel like Wile E. Coyote trying to chase down the Roadrunner
Yeah.
with an Acme rocket strapped to your back.
So
Boy.
if you definitely want to get in and out for shopping during the holidays really fast, get a pair of these strap-ons. You might be able to get out quick, my friends.
Speaking of the holidays, our last story is it's that time.
That time of year, people.
Voice in your head, we all know it. And head over to Starbucks because the holiday cups are here.
Oh yeah, so Starbucks always has theme mochas during the year. You have your pumpkin one, spice pumpkin, and then you have the strawberry mint and all this stuff. But they also do theme cups. So as reported in The Hill, they're bringing back this year's theme, which is like last year's, inspired by gifts. So, quote, they're going to have 4 new cups nicknamed Gift Wrap Magic, Frosted Sparkles, Ornament Wonder, and Cozy Evergreen. And each are designed with the blank gift tags on the back.
Aww.
So, yep, if you check out the article, you can see a picture of the cup. So you can go ahead and get one of those cups from Starbucks this holiday season.
It's that time. Time to get your hot chocolate on or your coffee mocha or whatever that is when you go there.
Mix in the drink. Whatever's in your cup, I don't need to know, but enjoy it.
Alrighty, well that wraps us up for this week. Thank you everybody for listening in. Much appreciated. If you're enjoying the content, please leave a review. If you're watching us over on the YouTubes, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell so you know when more videos are coming out.
Ding, 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 ding.
If you're listening to us on all the podcast platforms, thank you. Make sure you leave a review. Give us a 5-star. Tell us how we're doing. Give us a 5-star to help feed the algorithms there. And then, of course, want to shout out and to say thank you again to Sirenscape. Go check out sirenscape.com for background music and soundboards for your tabletop gaming experience. If you want to do more than sharing and liking, you can totally do that if you want. Head on over to patreon.com/scuba studio. It is there for if you want to take advantage of it. Thank you, Ry, for hanging out.
You're welcome.
Thank you, all of you, and we will see you on our next week. So have a good one. Bye.
Peace. Dooby dooby doo. Dooby dooby doo. Dooby 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 doo doo. Dooby doo doo. Dooby dooby doo. Dooby 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 doo doo.